Good morning, comrades. You are listening to WHIV LP New Orleans 102.3. This show is called Good Morning Comrade, and it is, you can get more information at goodmorningcomrade.com. It's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday, my dudes.
It is Tuesday. It's getting warmer, and it's getting nicer, but what's going on, man? We got Jeff and Rob in the studio. Erin says she's on her way, so we're back in the saddle.
Yay.
Back at it, and what's up, man? You just came back from Disney World?
Yeah, so Aaron and I went on our honeymoon. I have a lot of good kind of, because I'm sure people are listening are like, what?
We talk about Disney a lot on this show.
Yeah, like how can you be a socialist and like go to Disney? But I'll remind you that there's no ethical consumption under capitalism.
And working people work there, too.
That's a thing I want to get into. I actually do want to talk about that. Like, keep that locked and loaded, and we're going to talk
Pin is in it,
we're gonna talk
Chief.
All about that. But first thing, before I get into like socialist takes on Disney World, I want to say that the Rise of the Resistance ride is whatever time you have to wait for that, absolutely worth it. I had to be up at 5:30 in the morning to try to be able to just get a chance to ride it, and I got to ride it by like 2 o'clock in the afternoon in like the virtual like line. You have to like
tell me about the virtual line. That doesn't make any sense.
No, it makes all sense.
It makes sense in the sense that like you can get something and like you can like sign up for an app, but you have to physically be there to do it.
Yeah, because it's actually fair. It's like it's actually the fairest way to do it, and then two.
So what is it?
Okay, so how it works is for this dumb Disney ride, which isn't dumb at all. You have to.
It is amazing, world-changing Disney ride.
I think that LA, Anaheim works the same way.
Disneyland
works the same way. But so how it works is they're not going to let you line up for it, because if you lined up for it, everybody'd be like it'd be like an 8 hour line. So Disney's not making any money with all these people in line. So, and also it's
right. They want you buying things. Right. They want you buying toys and playing games and getting candy and soda and $4 waters and stuff like that.
The good part of that for you is
you don't have to wait in line.
You don't have to wait in line. Plus, it makes it fair. So, like, some super uber nerd cannot be there at like midnight and like line up. So how it works is you get to the park. There's tons of people waiting. You have to really the park opens at 8. You really got to be there around 7-ish because you still have to go through security and then actually scan your little ticket, your Magic Band or whatever that is your ticket, into the park. You have to get into the thing, even though it's not open until 8.
Yeah.
So what happens?
So the security opens first,
right? So you're in MGM Studios or whatever they call it now, Hollywood Studios. You can't get anywhere. Everything's closed. You can't go back to Star Wars Land. The whole bit. So what happens then?
Star Wars Land.
Yeah, it's Galaxy's Edge. It's so good. It's so good.
They have a Marvel Comics Land yet or no?
Well, that's Universal has that at Islands of Adventure.
Yeah, I knew that.
But
Disney
now
owns
with the
that
new
now.
deals, yeah. So Universal's still going to have that because they have some kind of weird deal.
Yeah, the stuff's already there.
The Marvel Comics Land is the Avengers campus, and that's going into Disneyland. It looks like it's going to be pretty rad.
Like the Magic Kingdom or something?
No, that's going to be in Disneyland.
In California, because they don't have a Universal.
There's like a full, like, I don't want to say autonomous isn't the right word, but there's like a full-sized human-sized robot that's going to launch across the park.
What?
And it's Spider-Man. So it's going to be like Spider-Man. It's going to be like a robot, like web slinging.
Man.
It looks great. It looks like Westworld. It's crazy. So it's like a full like replicant. So anyway, so you get in the park and everybody's waiting for the magic hour of 8 o'clock. When 8 o'clock hits, everybody's on their phone at the same time because you've got to press I want to ride the ride, and then it'll say, okay, you're in boarding group 1 or boarding group 80.
It's like so it sounds to me like it's like when you fly like Southwest or whatever, when you check in online or whatever for your flight, it tells you where you're going to board, the same kind of stuff.
Yeah. So what happens is, like we had boarding group, I think like 19, which is amazing because like the boarding groups got into the hundreds. And so 19's like super amazing. So we rode a couple rides. I think we rode like the Aerosmith ride. How about some backstage passes? All right, sounds like a good idea. Woo! So we did that.
They're like Bill and Ted.
That's such a dumb. And like, it's a decent little roller coaster, but it's like,
either way,
it's so weird. But we did that. We did a couple of little things, and then you get a little R2D2 like beep boop on your phone, and it goes, "Hey, you're ready to go ride," and then you have to stand in like an hour-long line.
Right. So you still have to wait in line.
Yeah, you still got to wait in line for like an hour. Like, the ride broke down in line, which it's been breaking down. Like, the ride came out in December, and it's still breaking down because it's that intricate.
It's only February.
I know, but that's still a long time, though, for as many people as ridden it. So it broke down for like an hour, but I was getting really scared because I was like, oh, no.
They shut it down.
Well, yeah, because that's happened, and it was really bad when I saw, like, Ray and like Chewie, and like they started putting Star Wars characters
like,
like,
oh
in
no,
the line.
they're trying to get our attention away from the fact that this ride's broke.
They're trying to like make you happy. They're like, oh yeah, these pictures are free. You don't have to pay for them. We'll take them. And I'm like, oh no, this is really bad. But it came back up, and we rode so went through the line. We rode the ride, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but it's like Westworld.
When you say it's like Westworld, what do you mean?
I'm a 38-year-old man who loves theme parks. I love video games. I love all that VR crap.
You're a 38-year-old child. Yeah. I understand.
And there were parts where I did not I'm like, what just happened? I don't understand how this works. Like, because usually you're like, oh, we come out, and anybody who's ridden it can like attest to this. And I'm not going to spoil it for people because I think it's that good if you're going. Anybody who's ridden it is like, oh, okay, we go in one door and then we come out the other door and it's a different scene or something, like the stretching room, not Tower of Terror, not Tower of Terror, but Haunted Mansion, something like that. You're like, oh yeah, we went in this door, we came out.
That's where my brain's at, the taffy pulling room and the Willy Wonka.
That's literally what it's called, the stretching room. But they're like, oh yeah, like but you go through one door and you're like in space with a full size like Mon Calamari, the squid guys from Star Wars, like animatronic, and you're really close to him, and he's supposed to be flying you around in space.
Whoa. And
then you go through the opposite door and you're on a Star Destroyer.
Oh yeah.
With like a million, I think that's the pictures that are floating around.
The bad guys.
With like a million, yeah, I'm kind of spoiling it. You're captured.
That's whatever.
With like a million zillion like there's like 50 stormtroopers and they're like animatronics.
Yeah, Disney likes to make their rides into shows, don't they?
Yeah, they like to do a pre-show and all that. Well, the pre-show it's kind of scary. Like and then there's what really make it is like the staff at that point, the cast members, if I'm using the right vernacular.
Oh,
the
workers.
They're all dressed like Imperial, well, I guess First Order. I refuse.
They're dressed like space Nazis.
They're space Nazis, and they're like, "This way, rebel scum, like to your interrogation cell." And you go in a prison cell.
Whoa!
And
then you get put in Nazi Nazi jail.
And then like the guy, like the guy's like talking to you or whatever. He's like, he's like, you're gonna tell us what you know, and like you're gonna be interrogated.
I don't know nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ride.
And then the next thing you know is like. The wall is being like laser cut out by like a lightsaber.
Oh, somebody's saving you.
Yeah,
like the rebels
are like, come on, go, like get in, like we're out of here, we're breaking you.
The goodies are here to fight the baddies.
So good. Yeah. It's like it's so good.
Yeah.
But okay, so that's my indulgence. But the things that are important, I guess when Aaron and I were there, there's a couple things I want to talk about, like. And in no way was Walt Disney a socialist. He was closer.
No, he was a labor breaker.
Yeah, he
broke unions.
But he was like he was a futurist, and he had a lot in common with like Andrew Yang. I would say like he's more Andrew Yang than Bernie Sanders,
right?
Obviously, but the optimism of that place, and like what he, especially with Epcot, like what he tried to build there. And he was a guy
talking about the one world government.
Well, he was a guy who obviously thought that like private industry was going to be the way forward.
Yeah,
that's where
he's a capitalist.
That's where he got it wrong but him and Marx like both thought that technology was going to free people up from their from drudgery, from menial labor.
Right. I suppose.
And you look at a place like that.
Technology, like I guess Marx is more of the thing where like the workers are going to seize the means of production from the bosses, and that is the opposite of the case with Disney, right?
Yeah.
But technology makes things so that more work can be done by workers, so that therefore they can be exploited more when they
time.
Or I mean, that would be in a good society, but in the bad society that we live in, that's not the case because bosses just work you harder.
You're forced to play the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
But you look at the way the place is set up, like.
Oh, Aaron's here.
Hi.
Like, every job is super important. Like, there's no, like, if you're picking up trash, and at least, like, you're picking up trash at Disney, the way that's at least sold. I'm not talking about how actually, like, the politics work. But the way it's sold is that person is a cast member, and they're no less important than, like, Bob Iger, who's the CEO.
Right.
Because they're making it happen. They're making this whole thing happen.
Right, yeah.
And the idea of like we're on buses, we're getting transported everywhere on free Disney transportation.
Yeah.
You've paid for it obviously because you're at the resort,
of course.
But it's like transportation
part of the price
that you're not thinking of. That's running on like vegetable oil because all the buses are run on they don't run on gas. That. Yeah, they run on like
corn syrup or something.
Like seriously, vegetable oil. You don't have to like the food. Like if you eat at any of like the fine dining. Mm-hmm. Like we talked to the chef and I asked him.
Yeah, it's very Tony Stark.
I go, hey, I've always heard like how much of this. I've always heard that some of this comes from Epcot. Like how much of this is grown? No, at Epcot?
I've been back there.
And he's like, yeah, he's like pretty much all of it like is coming from Epcot. If it doesn't moo or oink,
yeah,
if it's a plant, it's coming from Epcot. And when they throw stuff away, like when you're like, oh, I don't want the rest of this Mickey pretzel, and you throw it away, it goes and it's composted. And it's used to grow more crops. And you're looking at a monorail system, and you're looking at like public transportation, clean streets, a
perfect society.
Fields,
actually, go ahead.
Fields of solar panels, fields as far as the eye can see of solar panels. Like, and you're like, we could just do this. Like, this doesn't have to be like a pretend like corporate place. Like, America can just make this happen.
Yeah,
like it's just will. Like you saw. And you think about the decisions that had to be made where it was like, okay, let's say for these solar fields that Disney has, okay, this is going to cost us X amount of $1 million. Right. But in 20 years from now, it's going to save us. It's going to pay for it. Yeah. And it's just will. It's just being able to look at things in that long term. Right. A society isn't great until old men plant trees that they know they're never going to see the shade of.
Right. But I guess my point is that like it's such a narrow vision. And so on the last episode that me and Scott did, we both watched Demolition Man.
Great movie.
And like that's basically the world in Demolition Man. And like you can't say curse words, and like there's a lot of these other sort of like tyrannical things that because it was one person that crafted this world from his brain makes the world completely unacceptable and uninhabitable, where you actually don't have any freedom or ways to enjoy like the amazing things that are possible because of that world. And like that was kind of like wow, because like when you're talking about that, you're like messing me up. And then there's the other thing too, is where you have like the counterculture, the underground place that Dennis Leary lives in, like fighting against.
That place was kind of, I don't know. I'm very torn on that movie because
it's a great movie.
It's like they're okay. You've got like libertarians like that living in where Dennis Leary lives, and then you've got techno fascists. Right. Like there's something in between that.
Well,
like,
yeah. Well, you can look at it in a couple of different ways. I mean, there was a reason that these politics are kind of undefined, because you can have it like a vision of a utopia that doesn't like have these exclusions, or you can actually make like not cast off these, people. You can have like an inclusive society that doesn't cast off the people who live underground, or you have space for them to like get away from the the cities or whatever. However, it sort of like doesn't really define the politics of either side, because I mean you can easily look at like you could look at the San Angeles future in Demolition Man and say, well, that's fully automated luxury gay space communism, and underground is anarcho communism or whatever, like
I guess
you can have both. I guess.
But you talked about like the workers, like the people who actually work at Disney. There's actually a thing they have set up to where, and we totally did this. I actually have to send a few more tweets off, and I've been sending them from the Good Morning Comrade account. I wonder what
follow us at Comrade Morning.
Yeah, Disney personnel think about that. But so if you get like, let's say somebody gives you like good service or whatever, you know, they're just nice.
Yeah,
and everybody's got their little name tag. You can talk to their manager. And what I mean, so you send a tweet to like at Walt Disney World Today and put like, I think it's like at cast member compliment, and you like put their name and be like, this is where they work in their name, such and such. Like,
so you always do good. You always say this person does.
Oh, absolutely. And they get back to you and they send you pictures of that person like receiving your tweet, like receiving their little like, oh, like this person thought I was great. And it's like just like a kind of like a nice thing you can do for somebody who's working in like this huge monolith of a company, so they can stand
when they do in a lot of ways treat their workers terribly.
Oh, absolutely. It's no way a worker's paradise. Like, I mean, we can start. They treat the workers terribly.
I mean, I'm not trying to go down that road.
No, I would say the college program is used. The college and the international program is used to undercut full-time workers. I would totally say that. And their production line, you know, we're talking about a place that makes children very happy, and I got to see a lot of cute kids being happy. But then the people who make those toys in second and third world countries are children who are not very happy. So that needs to be addressed with full, like you said, gay space.
Like, we gotta get the globe before we go to space. I think. Though,
and I guess
we can't have the mass inequality on Earth. No, we're gonna have like space communism. That's good for everybody in the universe.
Last thing I want to say, we were talking about the workers though, and I'll give this whole like Disney thing a rest. And Aaron just got here, so I'll let her get on this.
Yeah, we're gonna let you talk. I promise.
Is
Aaron.
that we only have 2 mics in the
couple of dudes silencing a woman. Well, before you get to that, can we do station ID?
Good, we're already there.
You're listening to WHIVLP New Orleans 102.3. This is the Good Morning Comrade Disney Quarter Hour. Go on, Robert. Tell us more about Disney.
Lastly, Aaron and I wore our Bernie Sanders shirts at Disney. And so I actually got audible groans from like, because it's so cost prohibitive that like people are like there.
Working
like,
people up to Disney, yeah.
But like I took a picture of my Bernie shirt outside the Hall of Presidents. Aaron took a picture.
That's right. You did talk about the Hall of Presidents. Did you go to the Hall of Presidents?
No, God, no.
You didn't see the
honestly, God, like no, I didn't. I'm not going to see that. Why would I go see that? I'm not. No,
I thought you wanted to see the Hillary Clinton face Trump.
I'm not trying to see that, seriously. But we do need to plan a trip when Bernie wins. We need to get everybody together the first day they install that animatronic, and just go there and just pack it. And just be like,
I might be doing other stuff. I might be celebrating that my student loans are not there anymore.
But
either way, I'm sorry.
But
I'm not trying to rain
it was
like
parade. Audible groans from people. But like Aaron took a picture of her with her Bernie Sanders shirt on outside of the Winnie the Pooh house because his house is Mr. Sanders. But time after time, every employee that we had, I would say, out of every 10 employees that we had contact with, that I would say 3 out of every 10 was like, I really like your shirt. I really like your shirt. Nice. I really like your shirt. So it's like the people who work there were like full support.
Working people.
Yeah, they're working people. And the people who pay like absorbent amounts of money to wear Trump stuff and look miserable all day were like on full display. It was the weirdest. It was like the weirdest thing ever. They spent all this money because, it's cost prohibitive. Spending all this money wearing their Trump stuff, just looking terrible. And the other thing the other funny thing we saw time after time, all these dads wearing these shirts that they got made that was like, I'm the Disney mom, I'm the princess mom, I'm the princess little boy, and it'd be like, I'm the broke dad, as some kind of like weird flex.
Yeah,
be like, oh, I'm out of money. This costs. I'm like,
this is it's actually very MRA.
You
type
could
stuff.
just not be there. Yeah, it's like
that is
I
like very like look at me, the
some
disgusted
weird
dad.
It's some weird cuck stuff. Yeah, actually,
that is. Oh my god, it is.
Yeah, it was really weird. It was really weird. So Disney World employees are in full support of the Bernie Sanders. They are on the Bernie journey down in Orlando, Florida, for sure.
That's wild. That's
I guess
wild.
We can segue into.
So, did you see anybody supporting? So, first off, hi, Aaron.
Hi.
How are you?
Let me scooch closer.
Come on in.
I can't believe I missed the opportunity to rehash all the cuck stuff.
Go ahead.
Disney.
No, more. Well, let's hear more about it. I want to hear. Okay, you're right. I didn't want to. Yeah.
If you think that Robert did not spend the majority of our honeymoon discussing Bernie Sanders, you would be incorrect.
I mean,
so
he wouldn't be Robert if he didn't do that. Yeah, go on.
He wouldn't. We love him.
I legally love him. I don't legally
I got
love
up
Robert.
at 5:30 a.m. to wait in line at an amusement park for this man. So I feel like
That's
I get all of the props.
you're doing something.
It was a lot. But yeah, so is that what we talked about, Disney?
Yeah, we did almost 20 minutes on Disney World.
I did take a special trip so you could watch the Muppets.
Oh yeah,
Muppets 3D.
I am a little obsessed
That's
with
still
the
open?
Muppets.
Muppets are good.
Muppets are the best. Muppets are the only good things. I will say in the world.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm putting it out there.
Wow, that's a pretty bold statement.
I'm pretty here for the Muppets.
Yeah.
I'm here for like all the iterations of the Muppets. I'm here for Muppet Babies.
Ooh,
I am
the
here.
Muppet Babies were weird.
I'm here for the original Muppet Show.
Yeah,
and then
that was a good one.
The new Muppet Show, which was in
The
the
movies.
90s. I was also here for the ABC's weird sitcom
The redone
of Muppets
when
Tonight.
they redid it.
I was still here for that.
I didn't watch
Pretty
that.
much all of it. So, in case you were wondering where I stood on that.
Muppets.
Very pro.
You stand the Muppets.
Very pro Muppets.
You stand an entire community of fuzzy puppets.
Yes. So.
One of whom is a space alien that wants to date and possibly stick his nose into chickens.
Yeah, no, he doesn't want to, like, does on the
He
regular.
does it, yeah.
Like, that's the thing
Yeah.
that happens. His girlfriend is
Gonzo
Camila,
definitely gets it.
and she's a chicken.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, the Muppets. They're there, and man, we are talking about a lot of entertainment stuff. You know what? When you said you were wearing your Sanders gear, did you see anybody wearing Michael Bloomberg gear?
I did not see a single Mike. I
am color me shocked.
I know. We did have one of the poor women working there said she sometimes, because Robert was wearing his like kind of long form Bernie Sanders shirt. It's like the College for All, Medicare for All. Like, the one you have to like
got
really
stuff on it.
get into.
You gotta like get your reading glasses on. And
Well,
see what the shirt says.
she said I usually avoid reading people's shirts because I used to, and then I started reading one and it just said the snowflake diet, and I was like, oh no,
that's my diet.
So
it's nothing but soy.
Shout out to Gaston's handler. We hear you and empathize.
All right, cool. Yeah. So that's what's going on with y'all. Y'all were just partying it up.
Indeed.
Doing the thing. I got news that my school was closing while y'all were gone. Or at least that it is. And actually, I wanted to jump onto this. It is no good. You're right. I agree. And we talked about this on the last episode, but I want to like reiterate and kind of like further this idea. Like the school is not officially closing yet. And this is sort of like the crazy thing that's got my head all messed up, is because like this was announced that they were planning on doing this and they were going to vote it on at the next meeting because they legally have to have a first reading before they do a second reading. Stupid procedural stuff, but whatever. But the way that the school board is, I mean, the people like principals and the school board and all these other people are talking is like, this decision has already been made. They're basically like, my principal on Friday announced to the school of kids that the school was closing, even though
it hasn't been voted on.
It hasn't been officially decided yet. So like the strategy is to just pretend that this is already done.
Well, anyone who works with kids knows that that's a great strategy, is to just tell them the thing they fear is happening.
They were doing that to us first, and they just said, "Oh, don't talk about it to the kids. Don't talk about it to the kids." But and then all of a sudden, the reason that was done is so that she can get the drop on us and announce it in an assembly where the entire school is present. So that was really messed up.
Cool. Love to hear about our principals being really just there for the kids.
That seems to be like a strategy that's been going in the broader parish. And yeah, I've been sort of like reaching out. There's actually a Facebook event if anybody wants to participate, and you're welcome to join us at the Jefferson Parish School Board meeting on March 4th. It's going to be at 501 Manhattan, the administration building in Harvey. Come on down, wear blue, and show some support for schools and teachers, because the only way we're going to stop this is if we have enough people that are in the building that are like looking these people in the eye and say, we're standing with teachers, all of us, and you 7 people or 9 people are going to say, we're not listening to you. We're going to do whatever we want anyway. And if they're going to do that, that's fine. The other way is that they do it for free and they don't have to work for it. You know what I mean?
So the more local your elected official is, the
more you can
likely
influence them,
they're going to like being directly confronted.
Yeah.
Because there's just they have to deal with it a lot less. They probably are living in your community, so it's less of an anonymous person and more of, hey, my neighbor 3 doors down thinks I'm a bad person. So, you really, we have so much emphasis on electoral politics in the kind of the statewide and national, federal wide level, but
for reasons, for good reasons.
It's so much easier to get involved with your local politics, and you can have way more of a direct impact.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's a sort of a balance there you have to walk. I mean, because yes, that is absolutely 100% true. And you could even say that people don't know who their elected, like, local leaders are a lot less than they would know who their, like, House of Representative person or whatever it is, or their senator or their, the president. Or even the statewide, that's, one step down, and then the local sort of like, that's Joey's cousin over there. I think he's still on the council, and you know what I mean?
Very yad of you.
Yeah, okay. I mean, come on. You know where I'm from. You know what I'm made of. I'm from Chalmette. Yeah. But anyway, the problem becomes is that all of the money, like local governments and state governments, don't have any money. And they don't have any power. Like, a lot of states don't have any power to tax. A lot of local municipalities can do, like, little sales taxes or whatever. But, like, the federal government gets all the money, and they sort of, like, hold it. And the way they dispense it is through these states, and they can exploit them that way, So it's like, yes, but you have to sort of, like, get this structural thing fixed.
Oh, definitely.
Like, from all the way up.
Yeah, it's just, not that we shouldn't, obviously, focus on the national stuff. No. It's just I've noticed that when it comes to activism, a lot of activist circles tend to focus, and not like the effective ones, but like the effective ones are on a national and local level.
Yeah,
but
that at all.
I think there's a lot of emphasis on working towards changing who the president is versus changing who your state senator is, and the state senator is probably going to have more effect on your day-to-day life than the president is. Depending on what it is.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely based off of that discussion, and the person I definitely don't want to be president, and I'm bringing his name up twice, so I can't say it a third time because he'll appear like Beetlejuice. But Michael Bloomberg does not. He needs to be stopped from becoming the Democratic nominee.
Generally
because
furious right now about him.
The thing that really messes me up about this, and I just did an hour on NOLA Matters. About this from 5 to 6. I do it every third Monday of the month. I just went an hour on like why Bloomberg is the end of, like, if we ever had a democracy, and that's arguable as to whether or not we did or do, right? But if we ever did, like, if you just grant that in the benefit of the doubt, and then we have Michael Bloomberg who just spend less than 10%, of all of the money that he has, just splash it in there and become like either the nominee or the president against Trump, who's another billionaire who did the same thing. We just simply don't have a democracy anymore if we ever did. You know what I mean? And it's just sort of like, I've been really like, they don't even have the intermediate, like, oh, well, this politician or this group of politicians is controlled by this one billionaire. No, it's just the billionaire is doing it,
The worst.
Yeah.
Just truly terrible. He's a truly terrible person.
Yeah.
People who support him.
You're terrible too.
You were pretty terrible. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah.
I
mean, Warren, we can make some provisions for.
Honestly, I can make provisions for anyone.
Yeah, even Buttigieg and Klobuchar and all these other people. Yeah, I'll make peace with you to stop Bloomberg.
I'm telling you, I am actually a vote blue no matter who type. I will not be voting for Michael Bloomberg.
I guess it's not then.
Because I don't miss any elections because I am a very reliable Democratic voter. I will still show up and I will vote down ballot.
You'll do something.
But I will leave that blank because I can't in good conscience vote for that man.
You can vote for Tulsi Gabbard, third party.
Oh my God. We don't need to bring that name in here. We don't need to bring that energy. I will say, so shout out to K-Hive, just again, the best. And K-Hive, for those of you who aren't terminally online, which I wish I wasn't, are the still with
brain.
Her Kamala version.
Oh my God, they're still around?
Oh, they're still around, and they're very mean. And someone tweeted, one of the self-proclaimed founder of the K-Hive, tweeted that.
Who is that?
Her name is K-Hive Queen Bee. Shout out.
Oh my God. Really?
It is.
Is that her real name?
It is. She also, I mean, she goes by like a bunch of other names. And she's been, no, it's a whole
She's an internet person.
She's an internet person who's gotten kicked off Twitter multiple times because she's like genuinely mean. To be honest, I'm like clinically really fascinated with her. I should just unfollow. But, I can't. But she tweeted today, I believe, that Bernie Sanders' campaign got stopped and frisked by Michael Bloomberg's most recent ad. So that felt
wait, you're talking about the one that he coming after the Bernie Bros?
Yeah.
Yeah. He cut a promo on the Bernie Bros, and he's like spent like millions of dollars doing an ad.
And she retweeted it saying that, Bernie Sanders got stopped and frisked by that ad. And I was like, cool, that's a cool callback. Because that's, number one, I'm sure what Michael Bloomberg wants to be recalled every time you say his name, stop and frisk. I'm sure he loves that.
What's stop and frisk?
Stop and frisk is the policy of stopping black and brown men.
In New York City originally.
Potentially women. I'm not 100% certain, but mostly black.
It was targeted policing in certain neighborhoods, looking for the profiles of people.
And when we say targeted, I mean the target was racial.
And a lot of times they would literally become targets for bullets from NYPD because they have more.
It's generally really awful. Obviously, I'm not part of that community, but if you are interested in learning more, there has been some really just like generally heartbreaking, heart-wrenching accounts of people's experiences with stop and frisk, being frisked in front of their children. I wish I remember who wrote it, but wrote about an experience where he was coming home from college and the police broke his laptop and he had to, he ended up never taking a night class again just to avoid the experience. Just when we say it's not
terrorism. This is like the fascist state.
It's terrorism. It's not just the experience of being stopped. It's the idea that you can't leave your front door and not expect to have an encounter with the police.
They're already looking at you.
I get furious just thinking about it. It's horrifying. And the thing about Michael Bloomberg is that's only one reason not to support him.
That's one.
So
we can go on.
That is more than enough for any candidate. And then yet it goes on. And
more reasons to hate Bloomberg on the other side of this station ID. You were listening to WHIVLP New Orleans 102.3. This is Good Morning Comrade. You can listen to us every Tuesday, 8 a.m. right here on WHIV-FM. More information at Good Morning Comrade. So, stop and frisk. Very, very bad.
Let it be known that we here at Good Morning Comrade are anti-stop and frisk.
And we're anti just like targeted policing in general, unless that target is at like,
I don't know.
If the cops are going to Wall Street and busting up some coke rings or whatever, and like busting them up for just stealing money from workers and speculating, I'm cool with that. Okay. But I mean, that's not exactly what I expect to have.
So we're all about like, who are you targeting?
Yeah,
and then we'll talk.
Well, yeah, totally. If you're targeting people by the color of their skin, that's a problem.
We're pro the police officer that whistle blew stop and frisk. We're pro that guy.
Oh yeah, but I guess more on stop and frisk was that they would have so many stops by police that they would stop more black people in the city of New York than they were black people.
People were getting, same people were getting stopped like multiple times per month.
A couple, like 4 times a year for some people or something like that. And it's essentially,
so it's this part of what's called broken window policing, and that is more of a
quality of life policing.
So these are all kind of more palatable ways to describe the same situation, and it's this idea that if you
that sounds nice, doesn't it?
Quality of life. We want
to police our quality of life and make it nice and high.
We have a quality of life police squad here in New Orleans, so there's like specific quality of life liaison officers.
Is that from LaToya or was that before?
It was before, and it's specifically in like Lakeview, Mid-City.
Where the quality of life's already pretty good.
Yeah, and so essentially what it is they're going to be going after those small petty crimes. Very recently in New Orleans, there was like a police shootout between a few teens and some police in Lakeview because and a police officer, I think, was run over by a car. It was
not all heroes
very unnecessary escalation, but essentially people call police on kids going through their car, like, trying the door handles. Show up,
checking handles. Lock your door, man.
Yeah, essentially, my car gets rifled through like all the time, and like it's fine. I mean, it's not fine.
People are gonna go around checking handles. It's just, I'm like, I don't do it. I didn't ever really do that myself. But I mean, like, that's not what somebody should go to jail for.
Do stupid things all the time, and so essentially, one of these like petty quote unquote quality of life crimes, like, your change is going to get taken out of your console,
Oh no, my all the 575 way to, is gone.
Yeah, there was a full-on shootout in Lakeview, like for no reason. Yeah, and that's essentially what it is. It's this idea that and if you are prosecuting these like low-level crimes, you're keeping criminals off the street. But essentially, what you're saying is we're just throwing poor people in jail,
right? For trying to survive.
Middle class to upper middle class white people feel more comfortable.
I mean, I'm just thinking about like how New Orleans is kind of a police state right now. They have those boxes with the red and that's Palantir. Okay, great. They have the flashing police lights on these boxes. They have traffic vans or whatever, like these with cameras. I might have got a ticket today.
Which, fun fact, you do actually have to subpoena the record if you are a victim of a crime and you are wanting to get the footage from those police cameras, like you have to subpoena them.
Right.
They're not
it's
just
not
there
easy.
For you. It goes like straight to the FBI. Yeah. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's a real thing.
And Palantir gets to keep it too, which is
so it's
dope.
Just fun. It's great all around.
Yeah, love when private corporations. And give me a little bit of a heart
attack whenever I'm driving at night, because then I'm like all of a sudden think that I need to get out of the way of emergency personnel because I'm a good person, and if there's an ambulance behind me, I'm going to get over.
Right.
And yet it's not an ambulance.
It's a box.
Infringing on my civil liberties.
Yeah.
So cool. Love it.
I was going to say, friend of the show, Benjamin Dixon has. No, that's seriously. He's really a friend. He's really a friend. He actually wants to. I'm not kidding. But no, he is found all this Bloomberg stuff kind of hiding in plain sight. It's not like he had to dig for it. It's always just available. And now he's being attacked. He is I don't know if you've ever seen Benjamin Dixon before, listen to the Benjamin Dixon show. Teacher. Yeah, he's a former teacher. He's like my age. He's like 38, 39, I think. Family guy with a podcast, and also a black guy who's now been labeled as a Bernie bro.
He was a Bernie bro.
A Bernie bro because he's brought all this Bloomberg stuff to light that everybody already knew about, as other like black politicians and mayors are now like they're supporting Mike Bloomberg because he's just handing out money like he's Scrooge McDuck after the third ghost came to visit him. But so it's crazy. Like
I love how your version of the Christmas Carol is the Disney version of the Christmas Carol.
Mine is the Muppet version. I rebuke the Disney version. Putting that out there.
Go ahead. But like, I'm terrified about Mike Bloomberg too. We were having this talk before the show, and it's like the thing about it, we're at a crossroads of history right now. It's a real exciting time because we get to see like, what is America? Like, what are we? Like, to complete mask off. And the good thing about Bloomberg, the thing that you're not to not be afraid of, is that he backs liberals into a corner to where it's going to be like, well, you've been saying all this Trump is so bad. Here's a guy who's worse than Trump. You've told like you can't vote for Bernie because he's not a Democrat, but here's a guy who's a straight up Republican and has terrible racist policies, not that he just dreamed about like Trump, that he actually enacted. Bloomberg also had a plan that he wanted to, got shut down when he was mayor, but he wanted to fingerprint people who lived in public housing to turn it into a legit ghetto.
That is legitimately like police state, like Nazi stuff. Yeah. That is legit police state ghettos.
Like he's a techno-fascist that we're going to have to deal with. We're going to have to make this decision of what our country is. But having him come to the forefront, it's kind of like the end of Lord of the Rings where, what's his face? Where Aragorn's like, let the Lord of the Black Gate come forth. Mm-hmm. There's no more Mouth of Sauron. There's no more orcs. This is it. This is the guy.
Can we just not assume that every leftist is also
final
really
boss.
Like deep fantasy?
No. What he means is he's the final boss of the world, essentially. The final evil boss that there is before you get, I guess in this case, it would be before you get
a video game reference. He's just a bad person. Can we?
But like the biggest, baddest person. If you watch like a action movie, you know, he's the guy that like, he's like the Shredder, man.
He's like the head sorority girl.
Oh my gosh, Becky, I hate her.
So what we're saying is we're pro Bloomberg Gabbard 2020. Yeah, is that what we're saying?
Yeah, and we're going further than that. Forget never Bloomberg. We're going further than that to where Bernie Sanders has won the first two contests. He's about to, as long as Nevada doesn't have any particular like I don't know, they straight steal it from him in Nevada, he should win Nevada too, then it's pretty much over. It'll pretty much turn into a coronation at that point. So I'm going further than that. I'm saying that all these centrists and moderates, I want to call it, that have been Mick resistors for, they've got their Mick resistor hashtag. They're saying, they've been asking us since 16, would you support the Democratic nominee? I'm asking them now that, are you ready to support the Democratic nominee? Because it's about to be Bernie Sanders. And if your whole thesis is, Bernie Sanders has enough supporters who are crazy, who cost Hillary Clinton the election and gave us Trump, if that's your thesis, then you have no choice but to support Sanders and to vote for him now if you're saying he has enough power to turn an election. So it's time to join with us, and it's time to win. Other than that, I don't know what to tell you. Like, just say you're Republican already.
And like we're the people that are lining up and they're saying that they're gonna get behind Bloomberg. We see you, and we're not gonna forget. That's it.
Yeah, people have been getting really upset about that. I've noticed because people have been saying, "Hey, we're going to remember if you've supported him," and they're saying, "Oh, they're making lists." Do you know what else? Who else made lists? The Nazis. I'm like,
every organizer in the world makes a list. That's what organizing is. You're making a list of names of people that you're going to call. Anyway, to continue on this trajectory, I guess, because I already did an hour on this, but we should do another hour. Like, he's terrible on charter schools too. He inherited when he was I wrote a letter about this today because and this is going to make me nuts, and I'm going to talk about this and I'm going to be so angry, so I'm just bracing yourself as a preview. But he inherited like 12 charter schools when he was the mayor of New York, and he was the mayor of New York for 3 terms because they changed the Constitution to give him an extra term. And then they changed it back when he was going out so that no one could ever be the mayor of New York for 3 terms again, totally, which is insane. But anyway, but after those 12 years, there were 183 some odd charter schools in New York City. So there was an increase of 165 charter schools in that time period. So Bloomberg just destroyed public education in that city, and it's a largely charter school thing. Charter schools are bad because we've talked about this on the show countlessly. They're not accountable to the public in the ways that we were talking about that are important earlier. There's no public school board. They're privately run by a nonprofit. It's just basically it's a defense contractor but for schools, and that's all very extremely bad. And there was somebody who was very notable. What would you say if you were a teacher and the head of your union, the teachers union, went on television on Greta Van Susteren and said, "I think Bloomberg's got a chance to go all the way. He's got a chance to bring it together, like Bernie and this is to a question as to whether or not Bernie could win the nomination." She says she just brings Bloomberg up unprompted and talks about like it's a football game. What would you think, Aaron or Robert?
I would think anarchy, down with authority. Don't trust anyone over 30. That's what I would think.
Okay. Maybe that's might not be where I go, but I understand what you're saying.
I would obviously assume that person had received money. We've been seeing that all over.
But a union leader?
So for whatever foundation, Stacey Abrams just invited Michael Bloomberg to speak at a conference. There's been a lot of progressive black mayors who...
mayors love him because he controls mayors.
Essentially money talks, and it's upsetting, but we've talked. I feel like we talked about this before, but when we're talking about like unions and kind of these good progressive organizations, like you do also have to remember that there are going to be there's going to be issues in all organizations and corruption.
Any kind of representation means that there's a lack of democracy. When you're going to have a representation, that's going to be a removal from the direct will of the people, which is not actually something that's something that we can have a 1-to-1, like everyone in the world votes, and like even if they had that option, they might people could just not do it anyway.
Yeah, no, I would have just
so layering
that person had received money from him.
Yeah, well. I don't know if I believe that, but it's definitely something that most people, most teachers, and that would know about the charter schools and all the money that he gives, and the fact that he said that you need to weed out bad teachers and give good teachers giant classes, like double their size, double the pay, weed out the bad ones and stuff, like crazy stuff like that. And you're the leader of an organization that represents teachers and school workers. Perhaps you should not just bring his name up unprompted, this Bloomberg guy, that guy, up unprompted on national television and say, like, he's got a chance to win.
And also just remember how many teachers are black. How many of your students
can be stopped and frisked, right?
Yeah, so it's this idea that it's just really... it's so damaging from the top down when somebody who's in charge of an organization like a teachers union or any sort of union or any sort of like progressive movement, when they do endorse, or I mean that wasn't an actual
no, it wasn't an endorsement,
like
and there's a lot of pushback that's coming from teachers. Watch out.
It's you're basically telling your membership that their well-being is not as important to you as winning the election.
Right, or you're cozying up to this monster. And because this definitely did happen. I hate to break it to you, but it happened this past week I think it was 2 days ago.
Really? I thought that was a hypothetical.
That was not a hypothetical. I was misleading. I beg your pardon. I hate to break it to you like this.
Dang.
I'm going to break this to you, too. You are listening to WHIV LP New Orleans 102.3. This show is Good Morning Comrade, and good morning to everyone except Michael Bloomberg.
Yeah, no. And probably anybody who likes him.
Yeah. And all the people all of these organizers and these people like that are like, it's a real thing too, because he's splashing in like $450 million, which is just an insane amount of money, right? That's a ridiculous amount of money. And he's paying organizers like more than everybody else just because he can, and he doesn't have to fundraise,
which essentially, I mean, even if
he's just poaching all the talent
you care about, if you are a vote blue, no matter who, like there's a dearth of talent for down ballot races. So I always hear the argument that Bernie Sanders is going to be the one that
Bloomberg's literally doing that.
He's taking away talent for these smaller candidates that need more effective ground organizers because they don't have the name recognition.
Right.
So essentially we may have like really great candidates for state, local, and even national offices, but on a smaller term, that are just not going to get their fair chance because of Michael Bloomberg. So cool. That's another thing.
That's dope as hell, man. That's so cool.
Also, did we talk about his Islamophobia?
Yeah, he was all about the war on terror. He thought it was cool.
He's like very pro
check out that
surveilling
super sick.
mosques.
Yeah, let's.
So that's super cool.
And they had people that were all across the country. I think there were like NYPD operatives in like New Orleans and stuff. You know, like fighting.
Just, you know what I think the NYPD needs more of? CIA operation techniques.
Yeah, it's like an imperial army, but from a city. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just think about your local beat cop and just say, you know what? I think he should be trained in more covert actions.
And in outside the parameters of this city as well.
Yeah,
it's wild.
And no real accountability.
No, they just need carte blanche for anything else in the world. That is literally. I mean, more. I mean, I feel like I'm overusing it, but that is some fascist stuff. You know.
So Michael, this is the thing. Like Michael Bloomberg is really code red, like really bad. We all need to be
sound the alarm.
We are like I have been like I'm me. I'm like, oh, I like Warren. I like some of the other candidates. I think we should give everybody a break. Like I don't think people have as bad intentions as you think. With Michael Bloomberg, I'm like, oh, he is the worst thing. He's going to ruin our country. This is like the rise of Nazism. Like we think Donald Trump is Hitler. It's Michael Bloomberg.
If we go back to our...
that's probably going to be considered very anti-Semitic. Now that I'm thinking about it. Well, let's say Mussolini. Yes, better.
I'm not... I kind of don't want to go there.
Let's not.
But I will say this, that we were talking about Demolition Man again earlier, and like the world that they've created. I don't know if you've ever seen Demolition Man.
I have not seen it.
They basically like this. It's Okay.
The fact that Dennis Leary was in this movie, really blew my mind when I heard you say it.
He does his bit. He does and we are gonna Scott and I watched it because we talked about it before the last episode. But there was a guy who basically turned Los Angeles into the utopia or whatever, and he did it by just doing this quality of life type policing. Nice. Sylvester Stallone's a cop from the '90s. He gets frozen and unfrozen. And one of those. It's Austin Powers.
Just everybody's dumb.
Yeah.
We should just be called everybody's dumb.
And it's this place where you can't if you curse you get a ticket, and they have extreme and they have extreme dietary restrictions to promote health and all these other things. And I can't help but think about when Bloomberg tried to ban sugary drinks or plastic straws or all these other things.
Oh yeah, so no, everyone's no, he's the only one who can beat Trump. I'm
but he's got the best chance of losing.
What is happening?
Exactly.
Literally, nothing about him is appealing to literally anyone.
No.
I can't. I'm are you the person who likes Michael Bloomberg? If so, please call in because I literally.
No,
what
don't
is your
call
life?
in. I don't want to hear you. I don't want to know you.
What
you are.
I'm he has no charm. He's not a charming man.
Mm-hmm.
He's not well spoken. He's not particularly good looking.
He's not tall.
There's a potential that he is a pedophile. I mean, not proven.
64. He does have 60. He does have. He did know Epstein for you people for the TrueAnon listeners out there.
At the very least, he was
on the flight logs.
Often in the company of a known pedophile. We will say that's true.
And he was on the flight logs.
Was on the flight logs. What is his appeal? What do you see?
He's a billionaire. He's a billionaire.
Oh God.
I mean that's basically what it is, and nobody actually likes that. Nobody actually cares. People, and this is why I actually think that we can win if they don't. Again, just keep throwing these monkey wrenches in the operation. But I mean, again, if we lose, if Bloomberg wins, we lose. We have lost.
Yeah.
The election it doesn't matter who you vote for in the general. I mean, it will matter in that instance, but from where we're sitting now, from, February of 2020, if you're looking past the election and Michael Bloomberg is the nominee, there is no victory. We have lost everything.
The Republican Party is lost too. I'm saying the Republican Party's lost too because if he was to somehow defeat Trump, it would be Republicans would lose their mind. He'd be trying to take your squishies away. No,
they would actually see him as the perfect unity candidate. Because there's these never Trumpers. They would be the ones that would take over the party, right? All the deplorables would be discredited or whatever because they lost to Bloomberg. The never Trumpers would be well, Bloomberg's somebody that we can work with. That's what they would do.
I disagree. This is actually I'm actually being 100% serious. If by some reason you're a MAGA dude and you're listening to this somehow, make sure in your primary's coming up and you live in a closed state, change your. Do Operation Chaos. Change your party affiliation to Democrat to vote for Bernie Sanders. Because if Bernie Sanders is one thing, he's not.
Even if it's not him, it's anybody.
Well, I'm just saying. Seriously. Bernie Sanders is not ID politics, and he's not gonna he's not gonna screw with your way of life. If you're a MAGA dude, you're I like the coal roll and blah blah. Bernie Sanders, whatever. Bloomberg is, if he was president. He would make your life. Yeah, if you're his president and you're a good old boy, he's gonna make your life hell.
Yeah, he's disdainful of you. He's disdainful of me. He's disdainful of all of us in this room. He's especially disdainful of MAGA. He does not. He is disgusted by people who live normal lives. If you are not at the level of influence and wealth as his normal circle, he is disgusted by you. You can see it. Google, if you look up, there's a booklet. It's The Wit of Michael Bloomberg, and someone.
No, I'm never gonna read that.
I read it. I read through it. It's a nightmare. Essentially, he was celebrating some sort of milestone at his business, and they, when you get to a certain point, everyone just it's all rich white dudes roasting other rich white dudes, and so some rich white dude made this pamphlet full of quotes from Michael Bloomberg, and they are just, and I'm sure everyone laughed and laughed about it, and now I'm sure he's not as grateful now that he's running for president because he has nothing good to say about anybody. He is dismissive, disdainful,
he's
sexist, racist,
64,
not a smart man.
64 sexual assault allegations that we know of.
Yeah. Definitely publicly calls women broads. So that's like fun.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's old school.
That's like throwback sexism. Pictured multiple times. Again, I don't want to belabor the point. Pictured multiple times with Jeffrey Epstein and what is her name? Ghislaine Maxwell, his pimp. So like pimp of underage women. So just good people all around.
Mm-hmm. Nice
and
folks.
then he thinks that the reason America's fat is big gulps. Like that is, I just hate him. Like I just hate him so much.
Also, the idea that America's fat is bad.
Yeah. And not, we can talk about that.
It's based on an assumption already,
day,
you know?
But, he doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about me.
He hates you.
He, like, actively hates us.
Yeah.
Like, collectively. We're scum. We are literally worse than the scum under his shoes. Okay,
we need to be careful about this because some people might be into getting negged, so.
Well, I mean, if that's your kink, cool. Just take it out of...
Yeah, don't let Bloomberg get that rise out of you. We will neg you for free, okay? And we won't make your life actually live in hell. Yeah.
To neg you.
Yeah, right? You know what? Yeah, let's not scab on sex
There's
workers.
ethical negs out there.
Yeah.
And you can find them and pay them well, and they're good at their job, and you both will be happy. And I'm very pro that. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to have Michael Bloomberg to do that for you. You
don't need him in your life. Okay? There are people that are way better at it.
Way better at it, and they will fit whatever. It's like, you want a male negging you, great. You want a female negging you,
Hell
great.
Yeah.
You want a non-binary person negging you, great. They're out there. Okay, just pay them.
Yeah. Every identity, every type. They pay your sex workers to neg you.
Pay your sex workers their wages.
Or if you can, or even if you have somebody that you're in a relationship that negged you. That's not my thing, but that's cute.
Speaking of Meghan McCain.
Oh no!
She
okay,
and her husband
we got. Oh yeah, that's true.
Because he called her fat on Twitter a bunch of
times. That's right. Oh my God, that is sick.
That's something.
I mean, no, that's so cute. Is what I mean to say.
So cute.
Anyway, so just super last thing on this for me, and I know we got to get out of here for the Tuesday show. We can talk Thursday after if y'all want, but with the Weingarten thing, the Randy Weingarten thing specifically, I can see people seeing something like that and saying, "Oh, typical union boss. The unions don't represent anybody. Whatever. I'm cutting off my membership and all these other things." No, don't do that. Don't do that at all for a couple of reasons. One, unions are fundamentally good. Two, they're fundamentally democratic, even if they don't seem like they are, because there are mechanisms, be they imperfect and convoluted intentionally based on the people that created them. It is important that we have enough people that cannot be denied. So don't drop your union membership because of Randy frickin' Weingarten. And the only way that we can have the people that would be available to change this or even pressure her to change her behavior is if people that are members of her unions or members of the NEA or people that are just plugged in and engaged that are not dragging unions, because unions are the forums of the workers and the schools for the workers. We cannot let people at the top of the unions make them like bring their name into disrepute. And that's it for me on that. Any last words from y'all? We got a couple of minutes. Mm-mm. All right, cool.
We're good.
All right, well, you can listen to us.
Yep. Just know that we here at Good Morning Comrade really, really, really hate Michael Bloomberg.
We hate Michael Bloomberg. We love unions, and that's basically it. So cool. You can listen to Good Morning
Comrade. We love the Muppets.
Muppets. And apparently Disney, but not the Space Nazis. You can listen to Good Morning Comrade on WHIVLP New Orleans 102.3. You can also check us out online at goodmorningcomrade.com. Get all our information. You can check us out on Twitter at Comrade Morning. You can check us out on Facebook, Good Morning Comrade Facebook.com/Good Morning Comrade. Check out that March 9th, school board meeting Facebook event. If you're in the New Orleans area, show some solidarity for your teachers. Stop these kids from getting their schools closed. That's on my it's going to be check my timeline at Eminent Prof on Twitter. Anything other than that, please just get all the information you can, and on that, and if you feel like you're invited to show up, and we'll make it fun. All right. Well, I love you. Bye.